today we have a bonus lesson. I'm calling it 1.3 plus because in 1.3 we learned about proportions, and proportions are an excellent way to solve percent problems. Now remember, when we talk about percent, like we'll say 45%, means is the same as 45 out of 100. And 45 hundredths is the same as 0.45. So percents, fraction, decimals, they all go together. And we're going to need to have that knowledge to do some of these problems. Now, as far as percent problems go, we're going to use two different methods. We're going to do the proportion method, and we're going to write an equation. Now, I'm going to show you both methods. You're going to have to practice both methods on the homework. But when it comes to the test, you can choose which method you want to use, okay? So you have to practice both on the homework, but at the end, on the test, you can choose which method you want to use. Now, proportions are equivalent fractions, and so when we have something like, say you got 3 out of 4 on a test, well, 3 out of 4, if we divide that fraction, 3 divided by 4, you get 0.75, which means it's 75% or 75 out of 100. And so notice that this is equivalent to this. And that's how we do our proportion method. That is the percent. Oh, this is so funny, it's kind of backwards. I usually write it the other way, but percent over 100, so we're taking into account that percent is out of 100, is the part, the is, over the whole, or the of. So normally in percent problems, the is and the of are keywords. So it usually says of before the total and is before the part. So, for example, let's take a look at this first one. So we have the 26%. And so even though it says it the other way up there, I usually put the percent on the right. Doesn't matter. So my percent goes out of 100. Notice it's not 0.26, but I'm writing 26 out of 100 to represent that percent. And then the other side, here's that of, right? So the of is the total, that goes on the bottom, is what? That's what we want to know. We want to know the part. And so we set up our proportion, and once we set it up, we know how to solve it. This is going to be 100 times x equals 110 times 26, which is 2,860, dividing both sides by 100. Now, I didn't say this already, but we're going to round answers to the nearest whole number. And this will be true on the homework too, okay? It doesn't say it on the worksheet for the homework, but same thing, we're going to just round answers to the nearest whole number. Well, dividing, we end up with 28.6, which rounds to 29. Let's look at the next one. What percent? That's what we want to know. So that's going to go there. That's what I don't know. Of that, so the 102.6 is going to go in the bottom, is 40. There's my part. Solving my proportion, I'm going to get 102.6x is equal to 4,000, divide both sides by 102.6, and we get, rounding to the nearest whole number, we get x equals 39. This next one, 65%, so my 65 goes over 100, of what? That's my x, is 144. We set up our proportion, now we do the cross product, 65x equals 14400, dividing by 65, and we get x equals, rounded to the nearest whole number, 222. Last one, I encourage you to try this one on your own, and then push play, pause it, try it on your own. 35 goes over the 100 of 23 is x. Cross product, 100x is equal to 35 times 23, which is 805. Dividing both sides by 100. Rounding to the nearest whole number, we get x equals 8. So that's the proportion method. Many students like that. You may like that too, and that's what you choose to do on the test. Great. But again, we are going to practice both methods on the homework that you need to learn both methods. Now, the equation method is we're going to translate from words to math. Okay, we're translating from words to math. So some key words that always come up are is and of. Now, is, you might know, is equals, right? Is something, it equals something. Of means we're going to multiply. So we need to keep those things in mind as we translate. Oh, also, we need to change our percent to a decimal. Okay, so we need to change the percent to a decimal because now we're not doing over 100. We're going to just change it to its decimal form. Like up here, you know, this is equivalent to that. We move that decimal place, boop, boop, divide by 100, move it 2 places to the left. So this first one, though, is we're looking for a percent. So let's take a look. So if we were translating, this would look like, and I'm going to just underline percent because I got to remember at the end. 2 is what percent of 47.2. We could use a parenthesis instead of that times so we don't get things confused. But that's the direct translating. 2 is equals what percent, that's our x, of means times 47.2. So now to solve this equation, we would divide both sides by 47.2. And we get, these cancel out, x equals, now let's see, 2 divided by 47.2, we get x is equal to 0.0423, so on, right? Remember, these percent ones, that's why I underline the percent. This is when we need to now turn that decimal into a percent. So this would be, rounding to the nearest whole percent, 4%. Because that decimal is going to move 2 places to the right now. In other words, 0.04 is equivalent to 4%. So when we're looking for a percent, we just got to remember that. What will help us remember that is our answer is going to look really small, a decimal. And that will remind us to change that to a percent. All right, now for this one, we need to change to a decimal. So this is going to be 0.33 of what number is 160. So that's how we translate. To solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by 0.33. And rounding to the nearest whole number, we get x equals 485. This next one is another percent. What percent? So, like I said, we'll remember at the end we need to change from decimal to percent. So what percent of 143 is 36? Dividing both sides by 143, we get 36 divided by 143. We get x is equal to 0.2517. Again, we're moving that decimal 2 places to the right and rounding, so 25%. Again, when you get a really small answer, that means we have to turn it to a percent, usually. And finally, what is 42% of 84.5? So we need to just simplify that right side, and rounding to the nearest whole number, you should get x equals 35. So remember, you will get to choose which method you use on the test. Maybe you like writing the equations, maybe you like the proportion. But on the homework, for the homework, you have to do both. And remember on the homework, even though it doesn't say in the directions, we want to round to nearest whole number. All right, good luck.